A fun and spacey Timex, Omega celebrates metal, and the aliens have landed. It's episode 86 of A Week in Watches, a semi-weekly look back at news, stories, releases, and more from the watch industry. I'm Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn & Wound, and I'll be your host today. This is usually a pretty boring time of the year for us watch enthusiasts, but I have to say the brands have been doing their part to keep us interested. This week we have 3 really solid new releases from 2 major brands and 1 rising star, but there was plenty more I just couldn't fit. There was a series of mil-spec tool watches from Unimatic that are seriously fun, and it spared you from another moon swatch, though it was kind of nice. Check those both out on Worn & Wound when you have a chance. Before getting into it, I wanted to let you know about an excellent event we have coming up on Saturday, August 17th in Oceanside, California. We've teamed up with the James brand for a summer pop-up hosted in the James brand's new retail location. Running from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., the pop-up will include a showcase of their signature modern minimal everyday carry products, as well as the last 10 units of their recent automatic GMT collab with Timex. Several excellent watch brands will also be in attendance, including Artifact, Brew Watch Co., Belmont Watch Co., Citizen, Lokai, and Zodiac. It's free, open to the public, and going to be a great time. Once again, that's Saturday, August 17th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific at the James Brand HQ, 426 South Coast Highway, Oceanside, California. I hope to see you there. Timex is one of those brands that no matter where you are in your watch collecting arc, you can't help but appreciate. They release a ton of stuff. It's always affordable, some is cool, some is whatever, and there is the occasional gem that just makes you smile. The latter is what we are talking about today. Unsurprisingly, this new release comes from Timex's archives going back to the year 1975. Man, what a year. Just kidding, I was not born, but what I do know about it is that Pink Floyd released Wish You Were Here, a truly fantastic album, and Jaws came out, so what else do I really need to know? As for Timex, I'm sure they released a small army of watches that year, but amongst them was a strange, almost minimal watch under the newly minted Q line. Yes, Q for quartz, the most cutting-edge time-telling tech of the age. Dubbed the Enigma, this simple design played off the space-age vibes of the day, utilizing a cushion case and a deep blue dial that utilized color-matched hands and a dot printed on the back of the crystal, blocking the central pinion for a mystery effect. By mystery, I mean the effect of floating hands or hand tips orbiting the center of the dial. But to be clear, this isn't a real mystery dial, which typically utilize either transparent rotating discs as hands, such as on the Zodiac astrographic, or dial surface discs like the Longines Comet for a more thorough effect. Or in the case of Cartier, actually hiding the movement as well, creating a dial of hands that seem to float in space with no backing. Cartier, by the way, are credited with making the first mystery dial timepieces in the early 1900s with their Model A table clocks. Mystery or not aside, the result was attractive, so Timex has revived it, staying very close to the original's design. So you'll find a 37mm fully polished cushion case for a slight spaceship look. The dial features a dark matte blue central area that lacks any index, but features day-date windows by 3 balanced by Q Timex Quartz text by 9. A slightly lighter blue chaptering encircles the area, featuring a simple index of white lines for both minutes and hours. The hour and minute hands are thick rectangles in a dark blue that matches the surface below with edge-to-edge white tips. The second hand is a thin stick also in dark blue, but with an orange-filled circle creating a point of contrast. Altogether, it's an undeniably attractive watch, in my opinion, with a contemporary aesthetic that doesn't look dated at all. Tying the package together is a steel bracelet with a single link design that goes well with the overall look. Priced at $199, this is just another fun, attractive watch by Timex at a decent value as well. Omega brings home the bronze gold. Hey, did you know that the Olympics are happening? Yeah, like right now, and in Paris of all places too. Crazy, right? I'm just kidding. If you're like me, you've been bombarded with this fact via social media and likely all media, including now watch media, whether you care or not. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong if you do. I'm just not in that camp. Though, shout out to Gojira for playing the opening ceremony. Metal, it's making a comeback. But the reason I'm here, obviously, is because Omega, the official timekeeper of the Olympics, has announced a new watch to commemorate the games. And doggone it, it's gorgeous. And kind of clever, too. Called the Paris 2024 Bronze Gold Edition, which is a very boring name that kind of buries the lead, the watch is a spin on the CK859 sector dial that came out a couple of years ago, which was a very cool and pleasantly underhyped watch as well. A 39mm hand winder, it featured a dial inspired by an Omega from 1939 with a stunning layout printed on a sterling silver surface. They even used a vintage logo on it, which was a nice touch and by some miracle didn't slap coaxial master chronometer anywhere but on the case back, which is where it should be. A numbered edition, these are already out of production. I recall feeling a bit sad when I heard they had been discontinued, as this literally is my favorite watch Omega has released in a long time that isn't a speedy. So I was quite thrilled to see the Paris 2024 Bronze Gold Edition, ugh, that name, which revives the design and perhaps even improves upon it, well, in some ways. The dry as a desert name indicates one major change. The case is now Omega's proprietary bronze gold instead of steel. An interesting alloy that they've only used a couple of times since its debut, as far as I can tell. It's 37.5% gold and also contains palladium and silver. This mix gives a different luster than bronze, or gold for that matter, and it makes it safe for skin contact. Typically, CuSN8, an alloy of predominantly copper and tin, can turn skin green, a malady I sadly suffer from. Anyway, if you were paying attention before, you'll recall that the CK 859 featured a sterling silver dial. You see where this is going, right? Yep, the watch features bronze, silver, and gold, just like the Olympic medals. Clever, right? I mean, as far as these things go, it kind of is, and it's pretty neat too. That said, considering the actual Olympic medals feature a piece of the Eiffel Tower on them, I'm surprised there isn't at least a sub-limited edition version of this watch that does as well. As for the dial, the layout remains the same, but it has received an additional element, a Clou de Paris texture within the center sector as well as the subdial at 6. An undeniably attractive addition, it's also another way to fit Paris into the picture. That said, there is no mention of guilloche, so it's likely stamped. There's another gold element as well. The hands are made from 18K Sedna gold, but given a PVD bronze gold plating. That's a bit confusing, but I imagine it was to make the hands and the case match exactly. The final tie-in is the most literal. The case back is solid and features the Paris 2024 Olympics logo. An unsurprising addition, though I do happen to like the look of the caliber 8926 that has been covered. Perhaps it would have been a good opportunity for a Hunter caseback. Anyway, the Paris 2024 Olympics Medal Edition, see how easy that would have been? But alas, the Paris 2024 Bronze Gold Edition is priced at $12,000 USD and includes a special presentation box. Furlan Marri spaces out. Wait, did I use that one already? Francis Furlan Marri has proven to be more than a one-hit wonder over the last couple of years, embracing and refining an early 20th century style while progressively moving up market. They also made a secular perpetual calendar for Only Watch that went for 130,000 Swiss francs, which was quite the achievement. After a short break in releases following last year's now retired mechanical flyback chronographs, Furlan Marri is back with a trio of hand-wound mechanical watches that revive a historical case shape, the Disco Volante. Meaning flying saucer in Italian, Disco Volantes were another early to mid 20th century trend that simply refers to circular lugless watches. Appealing though not shocking, in today's context, they fit into the growing trend of shaped case dress watches. To be clear, lugless watches have always been around, but they haven't really invaded, that's meant to be a flying saucer joke, enthusiast circles until now, save the lauded and extremely rare Helios Puck dive watch. God, that thing was cool. Coming in at 38mm round with lugs underneath, the Furlan Marri Disco Volante leans more old school with an ornate yet elegant profile of concave and convex shapes in polished steel with a thin brushed wall at the outer circumference. To keep it as round as possible, the crown has been integrated into the side, barely breaking the circular form. Thanks to the Pizu 7001 movement inside, the case was also kept fairly thin at 8.95mm, including the crystal. Of course, there is more to these Disco Volantes than the case, as they include rather handsome sector dials which perhaps also offset any strangeness from the case. A four-part construction that hides a secret, it features two-tone shapes creating the various rings and areas, as well as applied markers at cardinal points. An atypical use of numerals at 2, 4, 8, and 10, as well as quill-shaped hour and minute hands also give the dials a slight automotive feel, at least to my eyes. The hidden secret is that the surface dial components are applied to, on which the sub-seconds is also printed, is loomed, making the gaps between the applied areas glow in cool, spacey rings, which was a nice touch. Speaking of which, the Pizu 7001, which is visible through the display caseback, isn't in your standard form. Rather, the brand customized it with redesigned bridges and black polished screws. This is not to be overlooked, as the redesigned bridges are quite elegant, introducing some appealing rounded edges, as well as polished bevels or anglage on the plates, all hand finished in Geneva. This is a move that will really up their game in the eyes of collectors of higher end pieces, and helps them move up market while still providing additional value. In terms of price, the Disco Volantes come in at 2,500 Swiss francs or about 2,780 USD, which is a substantial jump up from the previous hand-wound mechanicals at 1,250 Swiss francs, or about 1380 USD, but one that is reflected in the higher level of finish as well as more complicated case and dial construction. The Disco Volante comes in 3 colors: Disco Celeste, which combines blue and white, Disco Verde, which combines green and khaki, and Disco Havana, which combines brown with a subtle pink. The Furlan Marri Disco Volantes are available for pre-order now with delivery later this year. And that's a wrap for episode 86 of A Week in Watches. Like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and be sure to check out wornandwound.com daily for more great watch content. See you next time.